Okay. Hello, YouTube. Piratewizarddragon here. Coming from you from my new private studio here in Colorado. It's been an interesting year so far. I've moved. I already talked about that a little bit in my other videos, but I'm settling in my new place. And I just want to do another crazy rant, upload on the progress of life and such. Been here for 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks today, I believe, is how long I've been at my new place there. It's interesting because it's a giant hotel with 70 different units that was taken over by the Longmont Housing Authority and turned into some kind of subsidized housing program. So there's a lot of old people here and a lot of disabled people and a lot of people on medication. Kind of reminds me of an insane asylum a little bit because there's people wandering around the hallways that are obviously on very serious drugs. It's just a temporary situation for me. I'll probably just be here for a year. It's just ironic. I've had a lot of time to think about just life in general the last couple of weeks, and this is going to be another long video, so if you don't have time and you don't want to hear me just basically philosophically bullshit, because that's what I'm going to be doing, then you might as well just turn off now. This video is not going to be so much about tattoos. I mean, I always have a little bit of tattoo stuff in my videos, but it's just ironic because I moved out of my last place because of a leak in the bathroom and a stove blowing up that the landlord refused to fix, and I was basically told if I didn't like it to move. And I don't like ultimatums, so I took it and I said, okay, that's fine, you let me out of lease and I'll get out of here. Make a long story short, my last landlord was kind of a slumlord. There was I think I talked about it in one of my videos. She just was unreasonable and unwilling to fix things in a reasonable manner. Waiting a month to get a stove replaced is not reasonable to me. So, I moved out of there and I get in here, and 3 days in, I think it was about 3 or 4 days in, not even a week here, and there's a drip from the ceiling, which spreads to another drip, which spreads to another drip, and it basically resulted in close to over a couple gallons of water coming through my ceiling, 9 or 10 people tromping through my new place, 3 by 3 foot square cut out of my ceiling that is now not being fixed. I bought a white shower curtain to cover it up because I just don't want to look at this insulation and guts of the building in my living room. So that's been a little depressing because I'm being told by the housing people that they don't know when and if they have the money, blah blah blah, a bunch of bologna and cheese, basically. They can't fix it. So that's just making me think a lot about how so much of our life is determined by things that we have no control over. I had a good buddy over this weekend, and me and him got a chance to philosophize a little bit about the nature of life and stuff. And I like his attitude. He told me he's kind of just resigned to the fact that this is a game, and we weren't given the choice to play this game, and we weren't told the rules, and we have to play it to the end. We gotta just ride it out, and that to me it reminded me a lot of the comic book The Invisibles by Grant Morrison, which I have read thoroughly many times. So I thought a lot about this, and I also was walking around in Boulder last week thinking about the variables. There's a guy on YouTube that I follow that's kind of like an occult philosopher, young guy that he puts up some interesting videos, and he rambles a lot too, like I do, about his ideas. But infinite and finite, those are two things I put a lot of thought into lately, and I wonder if, you can add enough variables to something where the amount of different outcomes could be infinite. But the thought that I had, and follow me here, and it doesn't make sense because it's a paradox, it's a contradiction, which I love because it's part of the human condition. We are paradoxes, we are contradictions. And in enough infinity, you would have finite. And I know that doesn't make sense, but with enough time, all the variables could be worked out. And yes, I can't comprehend that sort of mindset, but if you had there's only so many outcomes given so many variables. And yes, they may seem infinite, but if enough infinity was added to something that was infinitive, it could become finite. Is I guess the revelation I had. And maybe that's just crazy. Maybe I'm sure other people have put it more eloquently and more, you know, heady and brainy, because it's like I have all these philosophies and I have all these ideas, and I realize it's nothing new under the sun. I mean, that was written in the Old Testament, I believe. And I don't know how to express it, but you would think, I think a lot about God, and God is infinity. If God is infinity, you know, like, could God make a mountain that he couldn't lift? Of course he could. Of course he couldn't. I mean, both could happen. So, is it possible that infinity isn't infinite? Is, I guess, or it is, but it isn't. Like, there could be infinite variations of the same equation, but the result, given if the variables are the same, would always be a finite set of variables. Like the end result would only equal so many of these pathways if enough time was applied. That eventually entropy, or whatever you want to call it, something would take over, and the result would always be the same if given enough time. So that's been my biggest. There's got to be finite. There's got to be a finite outcome. Or maybe there doesn't. I mean, it just seems like it. It seems like that's the way things would lead if enough time. If true infinity was added to an equation, then the results wouldn't be infinite. They would be finite. Or maybe not, or maybe it's the opposite. I don't know. That's just the trippy thing I've been thinking about a lot lately. I'd like to get some feedback on that. I'd like to run that by some people and see what they think that are smarter than me. If it makes sense to the way I'm looking at it, because it sure seems like there's too many coincidences in my life with patterns, and even though there's so many different variables, it seems to me like the universe is truly trying to teach me a lesson again, trying to teach me lessons. And a big part of it is that even the writer, I have a writer friend on YouTube that I communicate with because she commissions me to do some work. I illustrated a character of hers. This is going to be Carl. He's a guy that I've been drawing up. It's not done yet, so. But she sent an email that summed up a lot of what I've been feeling inside lately. No matter how much I get done, no matter how much I accomplish, it never feels like it's enough. And that's part of the problem, and I don't know if that's inherently part of our nature as human beings, to always feel like we need to accomplish something in order to. And I think this sounds sexist, but I think men have more of that drive than women, because we don't create babies. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but follow me here. Women's bodies are physically made to create another human being. And us men, we have a very small part, some of us more literally than others, in that whole process. So, you know, we don't have that nature's inclination to create on that level something so concrete. And I think we have it in a different way. I think that's why men build things, and I think that's why, you know, men strive more towards that form of creation instead of the fatherhood, motherhood dynamic that women they feel that. I mean, the ticking of the clock, so to speak, that women have when they reach a certain age. They have this, and not all women. I don't mean to generalize or sound like I'm trying to be sexist or anything like that, but I don't know. I think as a man, I would like to, I don't know. I don't want to get into a whole different tangent of, you know, men and women and creation and stuff like that, and what the purpose of that is. But what is my purpose here is what I think a lot about. And, you know, I've been tattooing for about 3 years now, and I don't like where the industry's going. It's becoming, I mean, I should really limit my time on social network, because it angers me quite more often now than it brings me pleasure. There's so many snobs and so many elitists that ruin stuff, and that's happening with the tattoo world. Like, I'm part of all these groups on Facebook where people share their tattoos, and so many people are cruel and mean and snob-like, and they take a subject to me which is purely personal and subjective and spiritual, and they turn it into, it's like one of these TV shows with judges. Not everything needs to be judged. Not everything needs to be categorized as poor or good. some things can just be, and the meaning to them is not for us to reflect upon or critique, which is part of the reason why I have a problem with some of the Facebook stuff, is that there's so many fucking experts out there that think they're just above, reprimand and above any sort of critique themselves, that they can just dole out. Yeah, and most of them are young, and that's the thing, is I'm not a young man and I understand thinking you know it all at a certain age because you read a couple things, but the older you get, the more you realize that there's so much of this that's so out of my capability of purely understanding and being able to wrap my brain around that. I don't understand I don't even understand what's going on half the time. I try to make plans, and that's been a lesson this year already. Last year, I think the biggest lesson was not to give my time to unpurposeful things that will bring no benefit to my life. Don't waste my time on people, situations, or groups that are going to just suck me of my time and not give anything back. So that's been that was a lesson last year. But the lesson this year is oddly the same, is that I put a lot of time into planning and trying to make sure, I'm disciplined with structure, get this done, and have these deadlines, and do this and that and the other. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to produce and to get better and to find people to tattoo so I could increase my skills in that level. And so much of what I've done has been thwarted quite directly and literally by sources that were out of my control, that has to be thought about. And that's been the case of a big chunk of my life. My buddy Neil feels it, the guy I reconnected with after 14 years. He feels it. He feels the pressure of it. He turned 40 recently, and you start feeling this pressure, like, okay, I'm over halfway done. If I'm lucky, I'm going to make it to 80 or 90, but you start getting to that, whatever they call it, midlife crisis. And for me, it's not so much even like, I want to get, a hot rod and a bunch of young women, feel like I'm young again. That those things aren't appealing to me as so much as I want to fucking know what the fucking point of all this is. If there is some finite, into it, or infinite awareness that comes after life that is thought form only, those are things that plague me to the point of not to inaction, which they used to. I used to really get super philosophical in my brain about what's the point of all this, when it's so much of how it ends is out of our control. How much of the way we die and the amount of humility or humiliation we are given at our death is so much out of our control. And what we leave behind, what we leave behind, that's important to me, what I leave behind. And I guess that's why even the tattoo thing, the older I get, the less I care about tattooing people. I do care about it if it's approached the right way, but I don't want to waste my time doing silly tattoos anymore. I want my tattoos to have significant spiritual meaning behind them, or fix, I really am attracted to cover-ups, because I like to make people's poorly done tattoos look better, because that's something I've lived with myself. I've had poorly done tattoos on my face, and it does feel good when you get those fixed and made nicer. They makes you feel good about yourself better. So that's something I will always strive to do, is to help people out with their poor tattoos. But I'm more towards going towards canvases and doing, and even that is not forever. Nothing lasts forever, not even suns. That's what I like to say. Everybody's like, oh, tattoos last forever, but they don't. Nothing lasts forever. Except forever, maybe. Even that's the reason why I did this video, is the finite versus the infinite, and the meaning of the universe, and another rant, and how the lesson this year for me thus far is not to plan too much. I have to learn to be a little more flexible. I have to learn to relax a little bit more and just take things as it comes, because every time I think I got a fix on what I'm going to be doing, a variable comes along that I was unaware of or unable to factor into my rigid routine, and it ruins it. So it doesn't ruin it, it makes it impossible for me. And there's that balance. I'm trying to find the balance of routine versus relaxation. So that's my upload for today. Another rant on life, the universe, and everything. Part 2, I'll call this, I guess. The infinite versus the finite. And what are your thoughts on that? And thank you for watching. Hopefully you share this, or at least give me some feedback. I don't feel like I get enough interaction with my subscribers sometimes, and I'm trying to do more videos. I'm trying to be more professional about it and not do them while I'm walking around in a windy situation, which the reason why I did the videos the way they were is because of the situation I was in. So I'm hoping to up my video production and maybe change some lighting. You know, I don't know. Try my best, basically. I'm going to try this year. I also can't dedicate too much time to this, but I will dedicate some time to it this year, a little more than last year. Doing reviews. I want to interview some people. I want my channel to be unique. I don't care if I get a lot of subscribers. I don't care if I make a lot of money. I am advertising now on my channel. I'm sure some of you have noticed. It's just a temporary thing. I want to see how much my channel makes without trying to make it too, you know, production value high and all that in 3 months. So if I don't like the results that I get from advertising after 3 months, I'll discontinue it. And the reason I want to do that is I do want to have more engagement from subscribers if this is going to be taken a little more seriously. Having a little bit of monetary money coming in will help me possibly buy some better lighting, some you know, some different cameras, some editing stuff, and be able to interview people, get some mics, stuff like that. So I want to see if that's even possible with the monetization, as they call it, of my channel. So please forgive me for the advertisements. I know I've bitched about people using advertisements before on their stuff, and I'm not all into I don't even know what they're advertising on my channel, but it's pretty much just an accepted fact of YouTube. People have to deal with advertising. When I want to watch videos, I have to wait the 5 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever is required from that video. Sometimes you can't even skip them. And most of the time I'm willing to put up with a car commercial for 30 seconds to watch the video that I have put up. Not the video I have put up, but the video I have put up on my computer to watch that somebody else put up. So that's something I'll be working on. I definitely have some interesting characters. I have a Russian friend of mine that I'm going to interview for my channel. Not all of it's going to be tattoo. I'm going to definitely do reviews of tattoo equipment and continue bringing my people along with me on my journey of becoming becoming more professional and skilled and practiced tattoo artist in the next couple of years, because it's something I need to do. It's something I want to do in some ways. I have to open the doors in my mind, and the universe will open the doors for me in doing it in the fashion that I want, and that's coming too. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Hopefully you all have a wonderful life and a wonderful day. Think positive. Don't give up on your dreams. And that's all. That's all I got to say. Another rant.